All right, hey there, everybody. It's RevCav here, and gonna do some more painting. So, just opening up my computer over here, making sure the volume is off so I don't get all this feedback. There we go. Yeah. So, hope everyone's having a great day. I'm going to attempt to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to attempt in an hour or less to get these miniatures all tabletop ready. So the goal is I'm not entering painting competitions with these guys. I am just trying to get them up to a really good standard so that they're ready to be played on the gaming table. So these are the Rebel troopers who come with the base set for Star Wars Legion. So I'm going to be using a combination of Citadel paints, and man, I don't even know the name of this company. What is this? Formula P3, whatever that is, whatever I've just been able to find. Interesting. My computer over there, blurry as all anything. Anyways, so yeah. So with that said, I'm just going to get started, and we're just going to tackle this, and we'll see how it goes. So thanks for joining me. I really appreciate those of you who subscribe to the channel, who like everything that I'm doing here. Your comments really mean a lot to me. Following along really means a lot to me. It's been really cool over the last little while just seeing this Star Wars fandom really growing and connecting and helping out the smaller YouTube channels together. So big shout out to the kind of founding fathers from the Fandom Collective. And I just think the work that you're doing is amazing. So I just want to say keep that up. And yeah, just cool seeing Star Wars fans all from around the world all coming together. So speaking of around the world, maybe you can tell about my accent, that I am a Canadian. I'm born and raised, proud Canadian. We got about, what did we get? 15? No, about 12 to 13 inches of snow the other day. Beautiful, beautiful Canadian weather. So, yeah, I remember growing up when I was a kid and we'd be in school taking history lessons. And you learnt about the trade that was happening in Canada back then. You know, the Hudson Bay Company and all the different trading that was going on, making all these European people a whole lot of money. And you just kind of wonder when that first winter hit, man alive, when that first winter hit, why did a single person stay? You think it would have been like, yeah, this ain't worth it. The beaver fur trade, just not worth it. So you think they would have just headed on back onto a boat, but I don't know. I don't remember my Canadian history all that well. Did they burn all the boats? Is that what the issue was? Maybe maybe that's what it was. But once the Queen kicked them all over here, they were stuck. They had nowhere else to go. So I am literally just doing a very base, kind of going assembly. I call this assembly line. Basically, one color at a time, just hitting every miniature with this color. I'm just starting off with a Caucasian flesh color right now. The other ones, I'm going to mix them up a little bit. I like to have, different Caucasians and skin tones and things like that in my armies. But just for the sake of simplicity right now, I'm just bulk painting one color at a time. So when I get to the other units here, once they're all primed, I'll really start playing around with different skin tones and then mix up the units that way. So there we go. And we'll make sure I don't wash my brush in my coffee because that would just put me in a totally bad mood. You might be wondering why I'm live streaming in the middle of the day. People are like, hey, wait a second, don't you have a job? You bum, get out of the house and get back to work. I do have a great job, love my job. I am actually off right now. I'm off for 3 weeks. Just kind of doing some leadership development. I go away on these leadership training courses, and then when I come back from the course, I spend a couple of weeks just processing everything that I've learned and kind of figuring it out and applying it more into my life. Okay, well, this paint has become a solid rock. Dang, that's disappointing. I like that color. Gretchen green. Do I have another Gretchen green over here? I got Strachan green, whatever the difference is with that. Whoever came up with all these names, man. Green is green, right? Okay, well, let's just move on here. I don't want to get stuck, okay? So, the Kimry Brown. It's good foundation paint. I see a lot of videos and where I watch other people painting, and I see them, what they do is this whole watering the paint down and mixing the different colors. Watering it down with water and then applying it like that. And I gotta be honest, I've never been able to figure that out. I have never figured out, one, why they do it or how to do it in such a way that it actually looks good. I don't know, maybe I'm just doing something wrong here, but I've just found these especially these base colors, these Citadel base colors, they go on a little thick, but if you spread them nicely on the miniature, you get a really nice foundation in here. So I understand the watering down, especially if you're mixing colors, but as I've shared before, I'm not the best with color. Not that I'm color blind, I'm just color unaware. I just have a hard time figuring out what goes well with what color. For example, my wife and I were working right now on just painting our bathroom. We have some family coming to visit us next week. I want to just do a quick job of painting the bathroom. And so literally my wife will send me these pictures that she finds on Google of like landscapes and pulls out all the color swatches from that so I can see. It's like, oh yeah, okay, now I see how that goes with that and how that goes with that. Makes so much more sense for me because I am completely and totally color unaware. So that's what I find when I do these Star Wars minis as well. It's actually very beneficial for me to, look at other people's work, look at magazines, look at websites, look at other work, and then go from there. So at least that gives me a starting point to help me figure out what I want to do for my color schemes. So I'm trying to keep these up somewhere up here where the camera can see what's going on. Again, so I'm just taking this Kimry Brown, which is a really nice kind of color for the Rebel Commando Battle of Endor type feel. They're not going to look exactly like the Battle of Endor, and that's okay. They're not supposed to. They're just supposed to look like that they're some tough men and women who are fighting against the evil galactic empire. So this one here that I'm painting, I think, is this a flamethrower? To be honest, I haven't fully read all the rules yet and fully read all the instructions yet, but these Fantasy Flight game miniatures, I'm telling you, these, man, they are some of the nicest miniatures I have ever seen from a miniature game, especially a Star Wars miniature game. Like they've, over the years we've had some really good ones, but this is a whole next level kind of stuff that they're now doing with these miniatures. It was funny when they announced this game, I was adamant. I was like, the last thing I need is to get into yet another Star Wars miniature game. I was already playing Imperial Assault. I was already playing X-Wing. And I really, really, really did not need to get into another one. But once the miniatures were being released for this and I started seeing them, I was like, man, yeah, I cannot not play this game. I cannot not get into this one. So yeah. Now I remembered when I painted my stormtroopers, I didn't glue the arms on. And now I remember why. because it actually made it a whole lot easier to get into here. But again, the beauty of this first coat is I'm literally just trying to get in here and cover up all the major areas, get a nice good foundation in here. So I'm not overly concerned if I'm doing a bad job, because I'm going to be doing a lot of cleaning up when I do the other details. When I do the arms and the equipment and the belts and the pants and the helmet, then that's really going to clean this guy up. So I'm not too worried about that. Okay, let's see here. Let's just clean up, paint off the brush a little bit. Okay, this guy. It's funny, they're all just slightly different. So you're looking at, is this guy wearing a vest? Is this guy wearing, because he has a vest, like short sleeves. And so where's the line? Okay, there is a line on this guy as well. So it is another short sleeve with the white shirt underneath it. So I used to play different war game miniature tabletop games with a good friend of mine who I have known since grade 10. Now, I was in grade 10 in 1986. So that's all. We're going back a few years. And him and I, we've always played these different Warhammer or Star Wars miniature games. And this guy, could paint. Like, this buddy of mine was like a real artist. He had incredible sick talent, but he was also obsessive compulsive and and totally OCD when it came to all the details of everything. So I would paint an entire unit, and he would paint the guy's legs of one miniature. So I've been trying to get him. It's like, dude, you got to get into Star Wars Legion. You got to come play. And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep playing X-wing, because the pre-painted X-wing miniatures, I'm sure, has really saved him much sanity. So yeah, it's coming up. Probably hard to see. So maybe if I wonder if this will work. No, that's not going to work. Really, it's just kind of an extra light for me. But yeah, like I said, I'm just going through with this Khemri brown. You know, it calls it brown, but it really comes out quite greenish, which is what I like about it. Just a little bit of that camouflage kind of green. And once I start getting some washes in here and some highlighting, dry brushing, it's just going to look really good. Okay. Number 3. This guy, another short sleeve. Hard to tell some of these. Let's just assume he is. Just go from there. Been kind of tracking along with Fantasy Flight Games and hoping they're gonna show some more releases for this Star Wars Legion game, but haven't seen too much yet. What I'm really excited about is the potential of going to the Clone Wars era, because I think that will be a heck of a lot of fun to play. just get a whole bunch of different droids and robots and different kinds of ships, and then just get a whole whack load of clones. Because I do find games that are set in the original trilogy setting, they suffer from having to deal with the fact that the main characters are Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. And I find it just makes it a little bit more difficult to play them because these characters are so beloved and their stories are so well known than to, basically play a game that is changing their story around. Doesn't always fit. I mean, you're sitting there playing a game like this, and these little trooper guys take out Vader, or these little peon stormtroopers actually get a lucky shot off and take out Luke. I find it just kind of impacts the game a little bit. Whereas you could have these Clone War adventures with just like generic Jedis and generic separatist leaders, which would be a lot of fun without feeling like you're impacting the narrative or the story too much. Okay, again, we are just assembly lining these guys, just not going for crazy detail, but just putting on the first coats to get them up to a really nice tabletop standard. I was chatting with a buddy of mine who I play this game with, and he's out painting me. His Imperial Army, he's painting like crazy. So I'm like, okay, that's why, since I'm kind of on this 3-week sabbatical leadership development thing, it's like, well, part of that process is I'm supposed to be relaxing a little bit and enjoying life to get rejuvenated and refreshed. And quite surprising to a lot of my friends is painting like this is actually incredibly relaxing for me. I find it a great way to just unplug, disconnect, and to be a little creative, make some nice stuff. And the beauty of the way I like my little hobby room set up here, you can't see it in the video here because of the way I'm set up on my tripod, but I've got this little hobby nook here. I've got like my paints, I got my Funko Pop collection over here behind us. I've got some shelves with all my miniatures, and then right behind me back over here are all my board games. But just over there, directly on the other side of this camera, is my family room. So our TV is there, our lazy boys are there, our TV is there, our video game setup, and everything is just right there. So I can be right here. If my wife just wants to veg out and watch TV, we're still in the same room together. We can still be chatting and socializing and hanging out while just kind of doing our different hobbies and interests, which is cool. Kind of glad that we're able to do that together like that. And that's what I like about this painting table that I have too. So if my wife does decide she wants to, she's kind of goes in and out of being into puzzle making. So when she's into it, if she wants to sit down at the dining room table upstairs and work on her puzzle, then I could just pick up all of my stuff here and go upstairs and hang out with my awesome wife as we do these miniature things together. Now this is the leader of the unit. This is a gorgeous miniature. I think I'm going to do this big huge trench coat I'm going to do in this color, because I think when I wash it and highlight it, it's going to look really nice. one of the things that I would like to do with Star Wars Legion and painting up my army is get my hands on an airbrush system. So if any of you are using airbrushes to paint your miniatures, I would love if you would put that in the comments below. Let me know what you use. Again, I have never ever used an airbrush to paint miniatures before, so I'm sure there'll be a bit of a learning curve, but I just see some of the results that people that I follow on Instagram are getting, and it's just gorgeous stuff. So, and it looks like once you know what you're doing, that it goes pretty quick too, which is another added bonus because I don't want to spend months working on a unit, because which is different if I was entering in painting competitions, which I used to do. Now it's been a long time since I've done that, but when the Games Workshop Lord of the Rings game first came out, I was still living in Montreal, and hitting the store there and entering a bunch of painting competitions, and that was a real blast, a lot of fun. So when you do that, then yeah, you want to spend a lot of time on your minis, making sure they look amazing. But again, the goal for these ones are a high tabletop quality. They're going to look really good defeating the Empire or anyone else who would stand in the way of freedom and democracy in the galaxy. But they're not going to win me any painting competitions. One of the things, man, for as long as I can remember, ever since I was a kid, I have always been really into Star Wars games, whether it's the board games or the video games or whatever that would be. Always into whatever game had the Star Wars logo attached onto it. And I even remember that I still have a copy of that very first Attack on the Death Star game, kind of in a box back in my storage room. It's one of those ones when my kids are little, they're like, "Oh, can we play this?" I'm like, "No." No, you cannot play this. No, you can't touch it. Yeah, definitely remember why I didn't glue the arms on the stormtroopers when I painted them. So I think for the next unit, I'm going to have to remember to not glue the arms on and paint them separately. This color coming out really good. Love it. Originally, when I was getting into this game, the assumption, since I'm a member of the 501st Legion, I have a full-size Stormtrooper costume just over in the corner over there. Everyone just assumes, well, I'm going to start collecting the Empire. But when it comes to painting, I actually decided that I was going to collect the Rebels just to learn to paint something with a little bit more variety. I mean, sure, I can make special highlighted trooper units and things like that, but the purist in me just as always has to keep them looking like the movie. I have a hard time deviating because they're so iconic. Whereas Rebel Troopers, I mean, if it's not, kind of the fleet troopers that are in the opening scene of A New Hope, or if it's not like one of these specific units, or like X-Wing pilots or anything like that. As long as it's just these generic dudes, well, I can paint them whatever, as long as they have the look and feel of kind of that gritty war, rebellion against the Empire feel to them. Okay, and then I got one more little alien dude up over here. Now he's wearing a different kind of set of clothes. His vest is different. So I'm going to paint him a different color. I'm not going to paint him this color. Okay. See, now the beauty of this format is hopefully by the time I get down to the next ones, they're drying out. I forgot what color. This is the Colton Brown. That's for the backpacks and the straps. This XV88 is just for some highlights in there as well. What color? Carrick Stone. Carrick Stone. This is what I'm using for the pants. Ooh, interesting. I must have left that open somehow. That's really thick. Okay, well I think this one I'm going to mix with some water. Just put a few drops of water in here. Quick little coffee break so it doesn't So 27 minutes in, I've gotten 2 colors done. So definitely will not have this unit completely finished in an hour, but my goal is to see how far we get in that amount of time. I originally thought I was going to do this tonight, but my kids have their Wednesday night youth group that they go to, so I dropped them off. And then I usually just hang out at my office is nearby there, or so I go there and just hang out, or sit in a local McDonald's and have a cup of coffee and get caught up on email and social media stuff. So we'll see what I do tonight then. So interesting. This color is really coming out quite different, but again, once I shade it all up, I think it'll look really slick. It kind of has like that khaki pants, khaki cargo pants kind of look to it. And the fact that they got these big old pouches fits with it as well. One of the things I was really excited about with the Fantasy Flight Star Wars Legion game was the new pictures that just came out. And you have to forgive me, I don't know the name of it, but that tank from Rogue One, and the Death Troopers. I was like, oh yeah, I'd so love to get those. Those look really, really cool. But if I'm making this decision to collect Rebels, then not gonna get that. And the problem with not getting that is the ship that's actually coming up for the Rebels is just a land speeder with a bunch of people sitting on it. And I was like, okay, I get it. Fits the whole theme of the rebellion, where they're, just throwing any kind of equipment they can gather under the sun and just throw it at the Empire. So it totally fits. but I don't like the miniatures, so unless it's got some really cool gameplay in it, I probably won't get it. So I'm just doing some of the detail here. Oh, come on, focus. There you go. Just doing some of the details here around the helmet. Probably should use a smaller brush for this, but that's okay. Because it'll... Doing good. Got you. So normally when I'm painting like this, I'm not as rushed. I normally just kind of take my time. I normally have music in the background. I didn't want to put any music in the background now because I didn't want to get some kind of YouTube copyright strike against me or whatever for having something in my live stream that I don't have the rights to have in there. But again, I'm trying to... This really is just a learning thing I'm doing. I was kind of reading on it last night, and not too sure if I still have the site bookmarked. I'll have to see if I still have it. If I do, I'll bookmark it into this. But it's just this whole idea of, you know, getting your miniatures to a good tabletop standard quickly, because I think that's one of the discouraging things for so many players is, one, people don't think they can paint, so people don't think they can do a really good job. But what I tell people all the time is you don't have to be a great artist to be able to paint miniatures, because the miniature does the painting for you. All you need, if you have a remotely steady hand, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but a remotely steady hand, you can paint miniatures to look really good. Because especially when you get into the washing and the layering and the dry brushing, it's a technique to get to highlight the detail that is already in the miniature. It's not like you're painting on a flat, white canvas. There's bumps in here, there's nooks and crannies, there's raised, areas. And the paint and the paintbrush does the work for you. I'll show you that if I get to some washing today, which again, I'm going to stop this in an hour. So I want to see where I'm going to get to in an hour. So if I don't get to any washing, then I'll do another video the next day or two to finish these off. But yeah, so don't let a game like this discourage you from giving it a shot with just a few basic techniques. And the other thing I tell people is to don't be afraid of it. If you mess it up, you can just paint over it again. You can clean it up. You can take care of any mistakes that you've made. Just noticing something on the leg of this guy that I didn't paint onto the leg of the other one. That's one of the things I find. It's one of the ways that I make a lot of mistakes, where I go back and forth a lot. It's like, oh, forgot this. Oh, forgot that. Oh, forgot that. Sometimes I think I'm just a little too rushed. Maybe it's because I just drink too much coffee while I'm doing this. That's the actual issue. And I get a little high strung. So, no, it can't be that. Kev drinking too much coffee? No, that's not possible. Oh yeah, it is. I drink way too much coffee. But I lovingly tell people I only drink 1 cup a day. It's because I never actually finish a cup. If you actually see, my whole house and my office is entirely filled with cups of coffee that are, 3/4 of the way or, halfway finished. Because I never finish one. because I'm a little bit like a squirrel and I get distracted or I get a phone call or I get an email and I just move on to something else and I forget to finish my coffee. So, so I only have one a day and it lasts me all day long. There, like here, you can't see it, but I just nicked the area that I've done before. So, simple enough. When I go back and work on the detailed stuff, you just fix that up, clean it up, no problem. You don't have to have a meltdown and get all triggered that, oh, I messed that up. Oh, I'm no good. I'm useless. You're totally used. No one's useless. Everyone's important. Everyone is important. Everyone is special. Everyone is great. And speaking of everyone is great, I've so been enjoying this YouTube channel. I have had my YouTube account since 2007, 2007 or 2006. Can't remember when that was, but it's like 12 or 13 years I have had the same YouTube account and I've never done anything with it. It's like, man, if I would have started this stuff 12 years ago, who knows? Maybe I could have been one of those YouTube millionaires. Doubt it. But it's funny. And when you look at the details of my channel, it will say that my username is newbie pastor because I created this account when I left the computer industry and started working in churches. And so I was a total newbie, didn't know what I was doing. Thought it was really cool calling my channel newbie pastor. And now 13 years later, I still have the same newbie name. So it's been really cool the last few weeks since I've revitalized this. Not revitalized, resurrected this channel. It's been meeting so many amazing, amazing people. And yeah, so I'm just kind of excited to keep on learning and growing the channel and hanging out together. This guy, can't remember the name of his gun, but I like him. He's gonna take out a lot of stormtroopers, I can tell. I was just watching on YouTube, was it yesterday? Fantasy Flight Games had a live stream where they were showing some of the new new starter packs for Star Wars Destiny. Was surprised to see that game still going, honestly, because no one in my area seems to be playing it. It didn't seem to catch on. I bought it. My wife played with me with it for a little bit. She actually enjoyed it. But one of the key things about it that I just couldn't get into was the fact that it is what I affectionately call pay to win games, where people with a lot more disposable income than I have buy all these single packs of cards and dice, and then I'm doing it the old fashioned way, buying one deck at a time and trying to trade with people. And then I go to tournaments or I go to different events held at my hobby store and get completely and totally annihilated. Like, can't even do one wound on these people because they've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars and I've spent nowhere near that. So pay to pay to win games I am not a fan of. I understand the business model of it. It is brilliant. It hits on people's love of the game, people's kind of addiction of a game. It's a great business model to make a whole lot of money. But when it comes to gameplay, not a fan. So, still have my cards. Stopped buying them. I haven't bought anything in a long time. So, yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Hey, Nico, cool to have you here. Sorry, I didn't even notice that someone had signed on. I've just been rambling on. Yeah, totally agree. Pay to win, it ruins gaming. Like that was the whole thing when Battlefront 2 came out, right? And all the people were freaked out that, hey, I just slapped $100 down on this game. And then the rumor was, oh, by the way, you're going to have to slap down all this other money or you're going to start losing against people on day one before you even get to play. And the backlash from that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm so glad EA took that to heart and did something about it. Didn't release it because I would have gone for my money back. Even though it was a downloaded game, I would have fought and said, no way am I getting into pay to win video games. When I'm going to slap $80 down on a video game, I'm getting the game. Oops, almost did. I should really put my coffee somewhere else. I literally almost put it back into my coffee. So, yeah, let me highlight these guys a bit. So, see where we're at here. So, I am 41 minutes in, and I've already got a pretty decent base coat on 5 different miniatures already. Okay, this guy, I'm going to do him special. This kind of Cantina alien dude. I'm going to highlight him and make him a little bit better than table standards. So do that. Okay, now let's get into weapons. Let's do some weapons. I like to start off with gray. Gray. Where's my gray? Gray paint. Hello. Hello. Lead pencil. Not shiny. I don't want shiny. I just want gray. Bolt gunmetal. Man, dude, you're killing time here. Where'd it go? You are right, though. Lucasfilm staying with EA is, yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand what they're thinking, but kind of crazy. And considering, man, this is what just drives me crazy about the current state of Star Wars right now, is that there's nothing good coming out. And I don't mean movies. I mean, like I'm not interested in the comic books that are coming out. I'm not interested in the novels that are coming out. And I mean, the games that Fantasy Flight is making, I'm still very, very interested in. But because they're focused on the original trilogy. But man, just think about it. Like in the 90s when the prequels were coming out, there were some amazing, amazing video games. Sorry, I can't talk. I got a paintbrush in my mouth. There, I had to make my own gray. Yeah, like, man, I remember, like, when Star Wars Episode 1 was coming out, love or hate the movie, the games are awesome. Like, the Phantom Menace game that was kind of based on the storyline of the movie was awesome. The Pod Racer game was awesome. Loved it. What other? There was like a bunch of Episode 1 games. I remember even my kids were little, like 1990. Mind you, what am I talking about? 1999. I didn't have any kids. But I guess it was later on, a few years later, when the kids were born. 2001, 2003. Then eventually there was Lucas Learning had come out, and they were making a whole bunch of educational games for kids. Those games were really, really well done. And I mean, since Battlefront 2, there hasn't been a single Star Wars video game that's come out. And that makes no sense to me. Just how could you have a property like Star Wars and nothing of interest coming out for it? Makes no sense. Absolutely no sense to me. So what I'm doing now is I'm just painting base coat of gray on all of the weapons because then they're just gonna get a big old wash to highlight them, and then some dry brushing afterwards. Yeah, so definitely agree that EA has just really dropped the ball, and I think Lucasfilm has just dropped the ball. Like when they shut down LucasArts and had no vision for what they were doing. Kind of sad. I was really looking forward to that Star Wars 1313 game. That would have been so good. My favorite video game of all time is Uncharted. I'm not a shooter game. I mean, let me rephrase that. I own Battlefront. I don't play Battlefront. I lose Battlefront. I go on and I get slaughtered by, 12-year-old kids because I absolutely stink at shooter up games. I haven't been groomed by the gaming industry to be prepared for the alien invasion the way that younger generations have. So I'm just kidding. I don't actually believe that. But I like story-driven games. I don't like the rated M, just blood and guts, shoot 'em up games. I love a good story-based game. Uncharted, in my opinion, is just the best. It has no one's even come close to doing a good story-based game as Uncharted. So when Star Wars 1313 was in the works, and I know the rumor was that it was going to be a rated M game. I think they were. I don't think that's true. I think they were gonna scale it back to teen rated and make it like Uncharted. Like when you think of Uncharted being teen rated, and it was still like in no way suffered. It wasn't kiddie or childish or and wasn't over the top violent. Like it just really worked. And 1313 really needed to still sit within the context of what Star Wars is. So the whole, oh, we need rated R Star Wars content, we need rated M Star Wars content. No, you don't. You really, really don't. Yeah, you can get away from that. It's just not needed at all. Oh, just looking at my source guy here, so I guess I should have done that color, but that's okay. What time is it now? 48 minutes. 48 minutes, and I'm trucking away here. I mean, this is the fastest I've ever painted miniatures before. And I'm happy there. Again, but so many people they look at if they start miniature painting, they would look at something like this and they would be discouraged. They'd be like, "Oh my goodness, I'm not any good, and it's so much better. Everyone else is so much better than me, and how come they did so much better?" Well, again, it's not that they're better painting. They did all the techniques, which comes later, the shading and the highlighting and the making a nice base. That stuff is what just makes the miniature pop. What makes it look really good. So there is a little part of me that I am cringing a little bit as I look at these, but I know from experience that the second I take this stuff, no, choking on my, I gotta stop doing that. I know as soon as I take this Knoll oil and give them a good wash down, they're just gonna come alive. It's gonna look so good. Watching a bunch of videos of people airbrushing because what I'd like to do. So I got this snow speeder miniature, and I'd really like to, get into that. And but I would rather do that with the airbrush, so it doesn't look as streaky. But again, since I've never done it before, don't know how it's going to work out. Okay, where am I at? 51 minutes here. 51. So I'm going to end this in about 9 minutes. I want to see where we're at in this assembly line production of the Rebel Troopers here from the base set of Fantasy Flight games. Again, we got 5 guys here. Already starting to come alive. Already starting to look really good. Get a light on here. You can't see them down there, but yeah. They look a little rough, but they will look like this guy at the end. Boop. All right, 8 more minutes. 8 more minutes. Colton Brown. I'm gonna take this here. And again, yeah, give you time to go shopping for more paint or make sure I do a better job closing it up, because yeah, totally hard because I didn't close it properly. A few drops of water in there. Mix that up. Okay. How long did it take to learn all that? That's a great question. Actually, it didn't take long, to be honest. There are a lot of amazing YouTube channels that taught me how to paint. One of the best ones is a guy named Sorastro. Sorastro? Yeah. Man, this guy is incredible. There's also a number of people on Instagram that I follow. But it literally started Citadel, who makes the Warhammer game and the paints that I'm using, came out with a book which has been updated many times over called How to Paint Citadel Miniatures. And in that book, they just walked you through all the different techniques, right? Because you have different types of paint to do different kind of things. Here you got your base coat paint, is what I'm using now, but then you have something here that's called a shade. Can't see it, but here it's called a shade, and the shade is very watered down kind of paint, so that when you put it into here, what it does is it goes into all the nooks and crannies of a miniature. Can't really see it well. And then you have another kind of paint, which is here, which is called dry. And the dry paint, you dip your brush in, clean it up on your rag, and then you just run it over the course of the miniature, and it highlights the raised levels of the miniature. So with the combination of your base coats, your washes, and your dry, just doing those 3 things would give you really, really amazing looking miniatures with next to no effort. And so literally that's how long it took me to learn how to do it. Just that simple little lesson. 3 different styles of paint to accomplish 3 different things as you're prepping your miniature. And then if you wanted to get, better and grow at it, then you get into different kinds of shading where you're highlighting colors and raising colors and things like that, and blending and that kind of stuff, which honestly I do for hero type characters because I want them to stand out. But my basic trooper type model, again, unless I'm entering a painting competition, I don't bother. So yeah, real simple to learn it, and really just takes a little bit of practice. Give yourself a couple of hours, read a magazine, watch a YouTube channel, and then go for it and start having fun. And I think for me, the key part of it is to enjoy it and relax. I used to go to different hobby stores and I'd meet people and I'd talk to them about their miniature painting, and they were so bent out of shape and so stressed out and so uptight. And it's like, dude, just like relax. Like, it's a hobby. Like, unless you're getting into doing this professionally, like, don't beat yourself up so much. Like, enjoy it, have fun. And you know what? Your first batch of miniatures is not gonna look as good as batches later on. Like, it's just not. So why are you beating yourself up that way? So I think if you enjoy it, have fun with it, keep at it. You'll keep learning and you'll keep growing and you'll keep improving. Because I know I used to do that. I used to compare myself to the magazines. I used to compare myself to what other people are doing online, and it used to just drive me crazy. I call it well, I call it the sin of comparison. Sometimes we're so busy comparing ourselves to everybody else around us that we forget that who we are is really good and valuable as well. And the highlight reel that you're seeing of one person, um, well, it's exactly that. It's their highlight reel. We're not seeing everything that they've had to learn and go through to become that. So, okay, didn't like the color of the I just did there. So again, what I'm doing right now is I'm just putting on the base color. Whoops, this I put on a little too thick. I have to spread it out better. Oh, he's got a blaster here hanging on the side. I didn't notice that. I'll have to paint that gray after before I highlight it. Well, this has definitely been a fun way for me to get some more miniatures painted. I'll put a little bit of a fire under my butt so I could get ready for my next game. So I really appreciate those of you who joined in this here today. If you like these type of videos, man, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button, because I don't fully understand how YouTube works, but supposedly there's like some kind of like, you know, artificial intelligence that's slowly taking over the world. So I'd like to make sure that the AI overlord masters know that I'm a nice person that they can keep around when the computers take over. So, sorry, bad joke. But yeah, anyways, this is 59, 57, 58, 59, 1 hour. So in 1 hour, now I know I started a few minutes late and it took me a little bit of time to prep. So in less than an hour, I got a whole lot of base coating, first level stuff done, getting these 5 different miniatures ready for the detailed washing and highlighting that is to come. So I'm going to sign off. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And again, like I said, if you like this kind of content, man, please just let me know. Still experimenting a little bit on the type of content that I will be doing, just to make my YouTube channel, my contribution to the Fandom Collective, a little unique and stand out. That's one of the things I love about it, is everyone's own personality and bend all comes out together. We're all just copycats, and there's a real beauty to the collective that way. So anyways, with that said, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. All right.